Hi, I'm Tiz, this is Stephanie, and we have been in Saudi Arabia for a while now on the tourism visa. And it's a brand new visa, so we wanted to kind of give all the people out there that are contemplating to go to Saudi Arabia, not 10 things about Saudi Arabia, 10 tourism tips that you may or may not know about traveling in Saudi. Number one, it's actually really easy to get there. They've opened it up, it's online, you do an e-visa, it's pretty straightforward. When we did it the first day it was opened, and it was like $150 and that includes some insurance that you have to have because most of the insurance policies don't cover Saudi Arabia. But they require you to have that. But then we heard just 4 days after that, the price went up to $1,300 just on a tourist visa. By the time you actually see this video, the price may have gone down, so check the prices for that. But what you do, after you go, you get a visa like this. This is all you get. And when you walk into the airport the first time, there's a little table off to the right where you got these smiley women. I think they're smiling because you can't see anything but their eyes, but they're all super, super, super welcoming. They don't check anything except for the visa. And then when they actually give you the little visa, they just hand write it. So they're not even used to that. So it's kind of funny. It's very easy to get to. Flights all the time from anywhere. Airlines fly there except for
Qatar.
Except for Qatar.
Number two. Saudi Arabia is a little more liberal than you might think. It is still by far one of, if not the most conservative country on the planet. Definitely one of the more conservative places we've ever been. But it's not an end-all be-all. We did find a diversity of voices there, and I don't know. I struggle with. I struggle with this one because it's hard to like sit here and say it's a liberal place because it's really not.
Yeah.
And yet you will find really open, really engaging people with liberal mentalities that want to see their country change for the better. They want to see their country progress and become more democratic, become more liberal, and not be associated with a country that is just about religious extremism, which is not just about that. They don't want to be associated with a country that abuses women because not everyone there abuses women. It's just change takes time, I guess, and they're changing rapidly right now. So we came across far more liberal mentalities than I think we expected.
My preconceived notion about going to Saudi was that it's extremely conservative and everybody is fundamentalist. And that's just not the case. We met tons of liberal people. We actually meet people who don't dress in the Saudi thing. We met people that are very non-religious. Saudi Arabia reminds me a lot of the Southern Baptists in Texas. There's a lot of people in Texas who are very, very liberal and don't care whether or not you're Southern Baptist. And then there's a lot of Southern Baptists that have their way and their right way. I find Saudi Arabia a lot like Texas. And maybe that's why the Texans and the Saudis get along so well when it comes to oil. I don't know. But for me, all in all, it was a lot more liberal than I had anticipated. Not that it's liberal, but it's a lot more liberal than I thought. Number three, money. Saudi Arabia, for me, it is a first world country. It felt like a first world country. I mean, the roads were there, the infrastructure there, the plumbing works, the electricity works, they've got tons of oil money. Starbucks is there, Kentucky Fried Chicken's there. It looks a lot like America. Is it cheap? No. It's about the price of Western Europe, California. It's pretty comparable. You know, gas, for instance, petrol is quite cheap, but hotel rooms are the exact same price. Food actually seems to me just a little bit more expensive. Travel in general seems to be a little bit more expensive.
Number four, gender inequality does exist. And I think that is one of the things that people think about when they think about Saudi Arabia is the inequality of male and female. It is noticeable. It's rapidly changing. Supposedly, apparently it's so much better than it was a few years ago. The fact that we are even able to go together and stay in a hotel room together is a big deal for Saudi Arabia. Before, you could not get a hotel room without proof of a marriage certificate if you were a man and woman together. They've changed that for tourists. They have not changed that for locals yet. But they're relaxing the guardianship laws, and they're starting to get rid of the restaurants that are separated. They call it single versus family. Single means male only. Women aren't allowed in the single section of restaurants. Family typically means woman accompanied by man and or women only. That to me was a little disconcerting. The first time we had to do that, I kind of got a little squeamish inside, but it's less and less common now in many of the places. They still have a long way to go, but Foreign women, they don't have to wear the traditional clothes. They're just asked to dress modestly, which means kind of covering your skin. You could wear jeans and a long sleeve t-shirt and be fine, though as we'll discuss, we recommend getting the traditional attire.
Number 5, things shut down for prayer times. Though it's quite common in Muslim countries, you're used to hearing the prayer times, I've yet to be anywhere where everything shuts down. Coffee shops, stores, bookshops, everything you could ever possibly think of pretty much shuts down. Don't be surprised if you get locked in or locked out of a place and just hang out for half an hour, 5 times a day, you know?
Number 26, I should say 26. Number 6. Tourism as of yet does not fully exist. Tourism is so brand spanking new that there aren't that many tourists there yet, and so there aren't so many tour groups or tour guides, or here's what tourists are supposed to do once they get there. Tiz described it as we arrived at Disneyland before the park was open, so we felt like we were the only ones there sometimes.
Yeah, it does feel a little zombie-ish sometimes. If you go to a touristy area, you can feel like kind of zombie land, like the 28 Days Later when no one's around. Yeah, it kind of has that feel.
Without the destruction. It's
Without
like
the
everything
destruction.
is actually brand
spanking
new,
new stuff.
waiting for tourists to flock in, but nothing's open yet because there aren't enough tourists to serve. Right. So it was kind of a funny thing.
And I'm sure you actually know that the Saudi government did this whole thing called the Vision 2030. So it's kind of encouraging tourism. And in that vein, they're trying to lax some of the rules that they've been used to, at least for tourists. And one of the things you're supposed to get, even though we didn't get it, is the 19 rules for tourists in respect to cultural modesty. And I don't want to go through each one because there is a list like no men shouldn't wear shorts, but they changed that rule while we were there.
Yeah, I think they changed that. But
women
still can't wear
women
shorts.
can't wear shorts. There's all sorts of things like that. Number 7, it's hot.
Oh yeah.
It's hot. It's hot all the time. It's hot, 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 and that's part of why you wear the clothes, because the clothes are tailored toward the environment. So that's where they come from. That's the history of it, and
it's hot. I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. It's a desert. Number 8, nightlife is where it's at. So
because it's hot.
The first few days when we were walking around and we're like, where is everybody? We couldn't figure out why no one was out and about. It's because it's so darn hot. Everyone comes out for sunset, and it's just happening at night. I mean, we were out at midnight, 1 a.m., and the parks were full of people picnicking. And
it's not surprising to see children out playing in the playgrounds at 2 in the morning. It's really not. It's part of the culture. Everybody goes out at night.
So it is a late night town, maybe siesta a bit during the day, and then go out and see all the people at night, because it's really nice. Waterfronts, parks, beaches, though you can't touch the water sometimes.
Number 9, there's tons of beaches, and there's no water life. There's no swimming. There's no bikinis. There's no surfing. There's no, that kind of stuff. It just doesn't. It's not part of the culture, even though the place is perfect for it. So hopefully as they get more developed, they'll actually sort of develop more and more of their beach world, because it is beautiful. They got a wonderful coral reef, they got fabulous surf, and it's a great place to go walking on the beach, but no one does.
And some of the beaches are closed off. We were told they're just to look at, not to swim in, and then one day Tiz did get stopped by a security guard because he went down and put his feet in the Red Sea water in Jeddah.
What was I thinking? I was washing my feet in the Red Sea, but anyway, I get reprimanded like I do.
And number 10.
Number 10.
No alcohol in the kingdom whatsoever. So if you are used to having a glass of wine with dinner, no. If you like to have a cold brew with your bros, no.
No.
If you like to sip on tequila, no.
Some of the other countries, the Gulf countries, you may find alcohol in the high-end resorts or certain restaurants, a certain district. No, it's completely illegal. And they, as of now, they're still punishing people for even trying to bring it in the airport. So don't even try.
Attempt to bring it in.
Just don't even try.
We've heard rumors that there is, say, moonshine that some locals might have. That kind of comes from the oil expatriate tradition. There have been, since the 1930s, there have been foreigners who live in compounds in Saudi Arabia who work for the big oil companies. And we heard that they have a recipe that they pass down to like new employees who come after them to stay with them, and some of their houses have distilleries in
Yeah,
them.
so some of the stills are still there from like the 30s and 40s in these places.
So
We've only heard.
Yeah, so it's not impossible to find alcohol there, but it is illegal, and you're not gonna find it in hotels. There are no underground bars that we know of. Oh, but that leads us to the bonus round, number 11, for, sticking it out with us here, which is Bahrain.
Bahrain.
If you do want to drink alcohol, make a little whoopee,
Yeah.
all those vices that are considered haram.
Go do a little partying, yeah?
You can go to Bahrain, which is very, very, very close, depending on what side of the country you're on. When we were in Khobar, it was just a 15-minute drive, though you may wait an hour in traffic, to the border.
That's where a lot of Saudis used to go when they did want to drink. So a lot of people, as we were saying, are very quite liberal, and to escape the more conservative fashions of that country, they would just go to Bahrain for the day, for the weekend, for the night, and something like that. Another little helpful hint that's not really on the list I just thought of, Saudis don't call Saudi Arabia. It seems like it's only a Western thing that we would actually say Saudi Arabia. They just say Saudi. I mean, so if you said, hey, we're going to Saudi, we're going to Saudi, we're going to Saudi, so to them, their country's called Saudi. It's not called Saudi Arabia. So, just FYI. Anyway, so I hope you find some of these travel tips helpful. If you're going to Saudi or you have more questions about what we did, don't forget to put some links, comments, we'll write back and things like that. For those of you who don't know, we're traveling with a project called 33andMe.
I, as a 33-year-old filmmaker, decided to travel to over 33 different countries around the world to meet and interact with other 33-year-old filmmakers.
Yeah, so we had an opportunity to go to Saudi Arabia to meet the 33-year-old filmmakers in Saudi. For more about the 33andMe project, you can click down below. We'll put the links.
That's it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that jazz.